because I just came back into stand-up after taking like a hiatus for a year for my mental health.
How was that?
Well, I came back, so I went up to Fresno because I was like, I don't want to go be like a deer on new legs, like in front of LA people. So I went back up there, and like the bitch still got it.
Yeah.
I nailed it. I did really well. And it was like, I needed that. But the thing is, because Fresno is my hometown, but also because I'm never there, I could call and be like, hey, I need a 10 to 15 minute set, for 7 days in a row. Yeah. And they're like, cool, no problem. Yeah. Throw you on. We'll mix shit around. We'll just kick off some of the local comics. They're not going to care because they're here every week.
Bumped.
Yeah. And then one had even like an open mic where she's like, just come in and do, she's like, it's an open mic. She's like, but just like come in about the middle and I'll like just do 20 minutes.
Perfect.
You know, and like that. And then, so that way, like I could get my set together for Houston and just get it kind of figure out what I want to do. And, but it was good because I was like back in the game, and then I've been putting my clips of me building an hour on Patreon, and someone saw that and was like, do you want to run your hour? So at the end of May in LA at Sycamore Tower, I'm going to run my whole hour, and I'm going to record it and video it, and then I'm going to try to sell it or pitch it to have a production. Like I want to record it and do video, and then first see if I can get someone to, like, I don't think they would buy that special, but they could look at that and be like, do you want to pay to make it an actual special?
Sometimes it's weird.
Like I don't think it would be the quality that, do you know what I mean? Like, but
yeah. They want a 3-camera shoot if they're going to buy anything.
Yeah. But so it'd be more as a pitch.
Yeah.
Like sort of, so, and then I have some friends that are like connected into that stuff, and they know my material, and like, because at first I was just going to put it on the Patreon, and she was like, no, I'm going to try to sell it. Like, I know what you do. Yeah. Like, I'm going to try to sell it, and you already have all this social, you have a huge following that like most people don't have. But so I'm working on basically a 45 minutes kind of that dealing with like sex work stuff. So I'm really excited. So, because when I got up there and I was working my stuff out, altogether, I've been doing stand-up about 4 years, and all total, I probably have about 2 hours worth of material because I'm a storyteller.
Which is actually really good. Like,
it
probably doesn't sound like a lot to people that don't do stand-up, but that's a long time.
That's a lot of time, and it's like, it's because I'm a writer and because I'm a storyteller. So if you're a storyteller, you tend to just have, except as a joke writer, 2 hours would be an eternity.
It's like 500 jokes.
Yeah, but because I'm a storyteller, some of my stories can be 10 to 15 minutes long. So 2 stories, and that's a half hour right there.
Yeah, same with me. Like, that was when I did my last album. It was super easy to put together an hour of Savannah done, because it's like basically 4 bits.
Yeah.
That just have some small things.
Well, I wanted to do one that was really just about, I realized that I have a lot of bits that really just have to do with charting my career in sex work, starting at like 12 with the Miss Junior Hawaiian Tropics pageant. Then when I was
Junior Hawaiian Tropics pageant? They had that?
Yeah. And then when I was 15, I got a job as a phone psychic at like a phone bank.
Okay.
But all the men would call and try to get phone sex. And so the other women that worked there were like teaching me how to do phone sex when I was 15 years old.
It's like phone sex loophole.
Yeah. And exactly. And then, you know what I mean? It's like I realized that I have these stories that really are kind of charting sort of a very specific female experience, which is like you kind of just immediately get shoehorned into this kind of
it's not something I was ever pushed into.
Yeah. But and then it kind of goes through like being I have the story about being a cam girl on like Trump election night. I have stuff about being like
dudes just like, can you pretend he didn't win for me?
Oh, it's much better than that. And then I have a story about taking home these guys from New Zealand when I was like a drug addict and an alcoholic working at a pool hall, and the story kind of seems like it's leading to a gang rape, and then it's not. It kind of takes a different turn. And I have this one about sort of selling positive pregnancy tests when I got knocked up to other girls so they could like get cash from dudes.
Right.
And so it's kind of about like learning to become a hustler.
Right.
And how like that potential gang rape situation becomes something else because like I'm a hustler.
Right.
And it's like I've learned how to navigate this world with dudes.
And the prey becomes the predator.
Yeah, and how I learned how to kind of navigate that, and then it goes into like Trump election, like, so there's like, you're watching this person like grow. So I want to call it "'Tis a Pity She's a Whore." And and basically it's like 45 minutes to an hour of just material that kind of has this natural arc of like, like someone, like a female that just kind of slowly over time just gets pushed into sex work.
Right.
And how that can either break you or you can adapt to it.
Right.
And it's not saying that you're weak if it breaks you, because you shouldn't have to deal with it.
That's a lot. Yeah.
You shouldn't have to deal with it ever.
Right.
But we do, right? So I wanted the theme of because people are always like, you don't talk about porn, you don't talk about this.
Right.
And I wanted to do something where I'm like, here you go.
Get
and
I'm
gonna do like one, just like fucking nail it.
Mm-hmm.
And and of course there's the hope that maybe it can be a little bit of a moment, because there's absolutely other people that talk about sex work and porn, but like I don't know if they're doing it in this way.
Yeah, and definitely not from that perspective.
Yeah,
for sure. Like
there's no dick jokes. This is like a Stuart Lee. Like if Stuart Lee had been a pretty girl, what would his stand-up be like?
Never would have been, sadly.
Yeah. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what would
that sort of function?
Yeah, if he had my life, like how would he talk about it? Right. That's kind of what I'm going for.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
To see that. Yeah. Did you ever read or see any of Lydia Lunch's shows?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm picturing like a
I forget that like we're of the same ilk. Like we like the same weird, really obscure shit.
Yeah.
If you don't know who Lydia Lunch is, look up her, and then also there's a porno with her.
Yes.
And Henry Rollins
and J.G. Thirlwell.
Yeah. Was that Jim George? Who?
Richard Karn.
Oh, Richard Kern.
That's right, yeah.
Yes, so the photographer Richard Kern, he was one of the people I think that found Sasha Grey.
Yes, he directed Sonic Youth videos.
Yeah, like he was sort of, this sort of New York underground, was sort of known as sort of like a pussy hound kind of going after the young models, like a Terry Richardson, but not creepy, kind of like a non-creepy version of Terry Richardson, because Terry Richardson was like just a predator, whereas Richard Kern was like had swag, like he didn't need to, like Richard Kern didn't need to overpower people as a function of his arousal.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas like it's not to say like, oh, hot guys can't rape. It's saying like people that prey on women, like what they're getting off on is that there's some element of like I wouldn't
horror. Be able to do this normally. They're getting off on like that element of horror or repulsion or startle or surprise. Whereas there's guys that are like pussy hounds that they have swag. They just have the sauce. You know what I mean? Like they're just kind of like Regal Beagle dude.
Yeah.
Who was also in like the underground punk scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like very Connecticut, like blue blood slumming kind of guy.
Yeah. Well, it's like you think there's certain comics that definitely have reputation as being like ladies' men, but like girls just want to fuck them because they just got the sauce. Yeah. They just kind of like and like part of their getting pussy, it's like they're not getting off on like overpowering someone. Yeah. It's like their whole, I think there's people where it's like what they get off on is being desired. Yeah. And then there's people that get off on like
not being desired but getting it anyway.
or that get off on demonstrating or exercising power.
Right. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I think there's like two different.
But I think that's true too on like all dynamics, even non-sexual ones with those people, especially comics who, or even artistic people, but comics who are. Comedy is sort of like going to college and they reinvent themselves as a cool person.
Yeah.
And it's their social life. So when they reinvent themselves, it's kind of like I can attempt to highlight the things I want so that now I can kind of like win people over or getting girls now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really interesting thinking about stuff like that because I'm revamping my website right now because now I went through something. I just got very focused on like when important adults is people are really liking it. And that's getting some stuff. Good. I got hit up after. I got hit up by a production company. I'm in the process of pitching my dream show right now. We're on round 2 of the pitch process. So like fingers crossed, kind of. They're very intrigued, but they were like waiting for the big boss man, and if he approves, then I'll come in, we'll do that round of meeting, and then we'll probably like type up an actual pitch, we'll make up an actual pitch deck, and then we would start taking it to networks. And so that's part of the thing is in the meantime, they're like,
you know, if you can get more tape on yourself, more this, more that. And that's why I was like, okay, let's put out this little special or something.
Work,
let's kind of like, because there's plenty of body of work for me as an adult performer, and they're not shying away from that. That's absolutely part of the sell.
But that's not what they're buying per se.
Now I need to get some more tape on doing stand-up, which is the thing, the conventional wisdom with stand-up is you don't put tape on the internet because then you burn your material. Like, that's changing now.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, so that's why I've started doing it. That's why if you follow me, you'll notice that I've started posting and captioning stuff. And a part of that is because there's like a need to build out and establish. Like, yes, I do also perform as a stand-up.
Right.
But in revamping the website, having to think about branding, where it's like, okay, when they land on the website, like, what do I want people to think and feel
right. Because I remember
the
last time I talked to you, you were about keeping it really separate still.
Yes. And I learned that, and I figured out that that's not the way to go, and I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, and it's also like, it's both you.
Yeah. Well, and it's like that, I mean, it really took a production company approaching me and going like, yeah, like, we love that. That's the selling point. Mm-hmm. Like, because it's a different time than even 5 years ago.
Yeah, and it's a unique position.
Yeah, I think it's just through my podcasts and stuff like that. I think I've just established my bona fides that, like, yes, I am a very smart lady, and I do other stuff, and I'm completely capable of doing other things. And so, since that's been established, now it just becomes an interesting part of my personality is that I do sex work or something.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but I think it's like, there's a period where you have to sort of establish that you are competent at other stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
it's you're not doing just for the novelty. Like, there's always the bizarre phenomenon of people who have become famous or infamous in some other capacity, and then they're like, how do I monetize this? I'll go into the lucrative world of stand-up comedy.
Oh, right.
And it's like, really? Because that's not super lucrative. But so I think people are always a little bit suspicious just because of that, and there's a lot of people who've done that, which I still don't get. Like, you want to go see John Wayne Bobbitt do comedy? Okay.
Right. Well, I was talking to someone else about this. Is stand-up, like, much like porn, is something that everyone thinks they can do.
Oh yeah, because if you see really good people at it, it doesn't seem like they're doing anything.
Yeah, exactly. Because if they're good at it, it seems like I've had people come up to me not realizing that stand-up is written.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Not necessarily written down, but that the material you're doing is not something that is you're just coming up with spontaneously.
Right. Yeah.
Which
is a great compliment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you see someone who's really good, it doesn't seem like they're doing anything. It's not the thing I was equated to is music, just because I was in a band for a while, and with a band, like, you could pull out a cover song, or when you watch a band, if they're bad, you don't go, I hate music. But if people see a comic, they're like, I hate comedy.
Yeah.
Because in a band, you can at least go like, oh, the guitar player's really good. Or like, oh, that guy can really sing, but these songs are terrible. But no one does that with stand-up where they're like, their voice is great, their cadence is awesome, material's bad. People are just like, I hate this person.
Yeah.
Because they don't notice that it's a skill set. And so if they're really bad, they think they can do it. Or if they're really good, they think they can do it.
Yeah. Well, I was get interviewed by a magazine recently, and they were kind of talking about the overlap between, we want like Popeyes, Yoshinoya.
Your choice. I am up for whatever's good.
Tommy's, Shakey's.
Oh, Tommy's I've never had, and I've heard it's
try
really
that.
good.
I've never had it either, so let's try it.
I've been told that's the best burger.
I've heard many good, and it's a walk-up situation, so it's very old school. I like it. So they were talking about the overlap, and I was like, I feel I have a lot of theories about sort of why there's an overlap, I'd say, but I think that one of the things and she wasn't talking necessarily just about like porn stars hanging out with comedians, but that there are a lot of people that have come from sex work into stand-up, and I was like, it has to do, like, there's certain things that are in common, but one of the main ones is that with comedy and with porn, like, you are the brand.
Yeah.
Like, you...
Or a version of you is.
Yes, like, you, like, that's... And, like, you're a one-man band. Mm-hmm. Like, wherever you go, there you are. Mm-hmm. That's... But, like, there's also, like, your comedy, just like your... Like, I go through this all the time where someone will see, like, one of the scenes if I'm playing a stepmom or something. Like, I love those scenes, and I'll be like, where can I find this? And I'm like, I don't keep track of those scenes because I hate them.
like
it's like an acting role less than
exactly. I'm not into that. That's not my fantasy. But I am a performer and I'm a professional. So if I get hired to do that scene, like that's what I do. But I don't keep track of that stuff. I don't promote it, so I can't help you find it.
Would it be like the equivalent of a stand-up guest starring on a sitcom? Like it's still you doing comedy, but it's not your stuff.
Or just a stand-up doing material, which is like all of us to a degree are playing a character on stage. And like I've had people where I'll get down, they're like, so you really XYZ, and it'll be another comedian. I'll be like, one, I'm flattered because I'm like, oh, like you bought it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's a fucking bit.
Yeah.
Like I don't like. I'm not like me and the NBA player broke up a year ago, but the joke's fucking fire.
Right. So I get
you know what I mean? Like I just like we're still dating on stage.
Yeah.
Because the joke's fire. It works. You know what I mean?
And you don't want to waste the time of like, well, we're not dating now, but we broke up a year ago. But anyway, when we were dating, because it's just pointless. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like in that sense, porn and stand-up can be the same and like where you're playing a character or version of yourselves, and sometimes it can be frustrating because people can conflate the two. I think that Marin is someone that gets that a lot. I think who's another person?
Well, there's an
there's certain people where their kind of on-stage persona is so strong and developed that people will kind of conflate that with like their actual personality.
Well, there's a false intimacy too in both. Yeah. And obviously I don't do porn, so I can't speak to that piece, but I can think that clearly an intimate act, so people go, well, that must be what you're like in real life.
Yes.
And you're talking about your life on stage, which is very intimate.
Yes.
And if you're good at it, it feels like you're talking one-on-one with somebody.
Yeah.
So people tend to get a weird, intimate connection with both that have some shades of truth to it, but aren't exactly how you are all the time.
And now that like now the monetization of comedy really is that you get a podcast and then you do consistent high value whatever, and the content of the podcast tends to be in line with the material you do on stage. And then really like now it's becoming that's where you build up your following, but you also monetize it by either getting on a network or getting sponsors or having a Patreon. And like that's how you fund until you get popular enough that you can like go out on the road. So now that that's become the business model, and people joke every comedian's got a podcast, and I'm like, as they should, because they need a place to advertise. But that the intimacy of having someone literally in your head, because you're listening on headphones, so they're literally inside your head
in your environment.
And porn is the same way, because when people are watching it, they're usually watching it alone in the dark, like on a laptop or on their phone. And even though I am in a crowded room when I make it, when you consume it, it's just you and me.
And podcasts and porn, they're always jerking off in both. Listen to the podcast.
Well, I think
I mean,
all right, so let's go get some burgers, and then we'll come back in here and we'll eat it in the car.
Yeah, perfect.
We're
back. We're doing it without, and we lost a nut.
I know it. We did. Turn on this. Last time I did a mukbang, it was with our burger and fries. It was Open Mike Eagle.
Okay.
So we went to Tommy's. Neither of us have been to Tommy's before. These are what the fries look like.
Original Tommy's.
Which
implies there's a non-original Tommy's.
The thing about YouTube is, like, universals of humanness is that, like, the popularity of mukbangs and stuff is that you're seeing that it's like people love food.
Yeah.
Like that it's, there was all kinds of content on YouTube, and now for the large part it's like gossip channels. TV and movie reviews, makeup tutorials, gaming, and food. It's like do you know what I mean? Like the kind of stuff that...
The pillars. Oh, that's good.
Oh, that's really good. Oh, yeah. I can see why that would be a classic.
That is a classic. I would get this again.
Oh, yeah.
That's a buy.
Wow. Okay, so tell me about this person the kid that does...
There's a kid called The Food Reviewer. And he's from Boston, and he's been doing YouTube food reviews for like 12 years. I think he was like 9 years old when he started.
Okay.
And he's the most from Boston in a Saturday Night Live sketch Marky Mark way. Like he's just like some like chubby, dorky kid. Like his bedroom that he used to do when he was a kid was decorated like the T in Boston, which is like our MBTA train system. So he was like really into the trains in Boston, so his bedroom was themed by that. And so this is exactly what he does for every review. He's like, all right, we got original Tommy's burger here. And then he'll take a bite. Yeah, that's a buy. It's good. And you're like, and I can't stop watching it. Like, it's every time he has a new episode, I get like really excited, but I know exactly what I'm going to get.
Right. What is it that I think, like, the thing I like about YouTube is that there's certain ways that, like, the system can't be gamed. Like, in porn, the proliferation of OnlyFans is because, like, the thing that porn companies, like, can't take or license away from porn stars is, like, them. The interaction. Like, they can't be you, right?
Right.
And so OnlyFans provides this place where, like, I can connect with my fans, and it's like they get me. Like, I'm answering the messages.
So it's like Twitter you pay for?
Exactly.
Kind of
Exactly.
Okay.
And, like, and that's like, so I'll upload, like, all my not safe for work stuff and everything, right?
Okay.
It's like people pay to be there. So it's like Twitter, but everyone likes you because they've all paid to be there.
Right.
But, like, they're there because they can go get your porn, like, anywhere. You know, everyone knows where to find free porn. But the one thing that the companies can't do is, like, they can't be you.
Right.
Right? So that's the one thing that you can't license away, really. Like,
but is that...
but with YouTube, it's the same thing where it's like, it's turning out, like, what makes a YouTuber really popular is them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and so they've tried to, like, entice people like J-Lo or different people like this to, like, have their own branded channels on YouTube, and they don't do well because people like, no one wants to fucking see J-Lo.
Well, they already do. Yeah,
exactly. It's like, what we love to watch on YouTube is ourselves.
And it's,
you know,
it's like when a company tries to make a cult movie. Like, they're like, we're gonna make them. People love these midnight movies. We're gonna make a movie with crazy stuff in it, and it just sucks because it's not like. I think the sincerity of intent, like, even people can kind of smell it, even if they don't know it. So if you tried to make it's J-Lo doing food reviews in her car, people are like, no, this is so artificial.
I think it was Susan Sontag and her essay about camp, right? Was talking about there's like two kinds of camp. I think it was one was like I forget how she differentiated between the two, but basically one is self-conscious and one is not. And
so one would be like John Waters and the other one would be like Mommy Dearest.
Yes. And that, like, her thing is like, you know, and that Mommy Dearest is always more satisfying than anything that's like like recently I was watching AJ and the Queen on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Which was horrible.
Is it bad? I just watched the trailer.
It was horrible. I mean, but I loved it. And that was one where I was like, I feel like they're absolutely self-consciously being camp, but I feel like they just got the formula wrong. So, I mean, I was not surprised when it didn't get renewed. I was just like, it was almost like, it was like too self-consciously camp.
It's kind of amazing it got made at all. Like, I was not surprised it didn't get a second season. I was saying the premise, but I'm like, you did it though. Like, you made it. It got on.
Yeah. For sure. So, how long have you been doing TV guidance counselor?
7 years. Yeah, I'm in my 7th year. I started Valentine's Day 2014.
And what was the did you ever get tired of it?
A little bit. Like, I've never missed a week in 7 years. But I'm also somewhat obsessive, so it like gives me something to do. And I do get a little tired of it sometimes, but then I'm also like, what else am I going to do? Because I'm also, like, I guess I've been performing since I was 14. So I was in a band, and we played every week, and then I've been stand-up since 2003. So, like, if I didn't have something I did every week, I kind of would feel like I'm just some, like, office schmuck.
Right.
So I get a little sick of, like, booking people and, like, having to, like, hustle to do it, but but doing the show itself now.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about, maybe you already have you ever, like, pitched it as a TV show?
Yeah, over the last year I have been. to various degrees of success.
Because honestly, it's a show that I would love to see you just make a TV show on your own.
Oh,
like a YouTube show.
Yeah, I've thought about it.
And then you can monetize that through Patreon.
I was trying to
having the unedited version.
Oh, that's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Like just this.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of a way to do it where I'd want to take advantage of the visual of it though, like to try and incorporate. So like I was doing a monthly version of the show live for a bit that I was calling a sleepover.
Okay.
And so it was like a late night. Everyone wore pajamas. I had like sleeping bags and stuff. And I would go through. I scanned like 5 TV guides from that day in different years. And then I had like a laptop with PowerPoint. I'd be like, what do we want to look at? So it'd be like 94 or whatever. And then we'd see what was on and like we'd watch some of it. Like as a group, which you can't do on the show itself, but as a live thing,
right? Like
you can. So I was trying to come up with something that was...
Well, but you could do, and these are really popular, is reaction videos.
Just a good point.
Because if you just show like 10 seconds, or something where it's either like 10 or 15 seconds, you can. Like, so you can show like just like a 10 or 15 seconds to establish. Because like, I mean, I love watching like right now, the Netflix YouTube channel, Trixie and Katja are my favorite people. But they do Queens React. And the way they'll do it is they'll just show like, okay, today we're reacting to The Circle. And then they'll pick, let's say, 4 different 10-second clips from the show that depict like a narrative arc. And then it's really just about the two of them reacting to like, they've watched the whole show. Right. That's like, I think that would be so great for a TV guidance counselor.
That's a good idea.
It's like if you had a web version where the person picks a show from the TV guide, you guys watch it together and react in real time.
Right.
And then later on in the editing booth, do you know what I mean?
Put the highlights up.
Yeah. I think that would be really, really dope.
That's a really good idea because that does do like it's an additional layer, so it's not just like the same thing. It's funny, I pitched a show a couple of years ago, WGBH, which is like our PBS station in Boston. They produce a lot of PBS shows, and they made Julia Child's show, and so they came to me to pitch them podcasts because they wanted to get into podcasts, and I pitched them like 12 shows, and one of which I really liked that I called Permission Slip, and it was like an interview show, but you went with the guest on like a thing you would do as a school field trip. So like you'd go to like a peanut butter factory or whatever it was, and then like do the interview there. But one of the things I was emphasizing to them was they have all this intellectual property that they don't really exploit. So they own all the Julia Child show. They own all the Steakhouse. So I said, you should do a show where you get celebrity chefs, which were not a thing when Julia Child started.
Right.
And you have them watch an episode of Julia Child's show and cook along with it and like talk about it and comment and talk. And they were like, oh, that's great. And then never talked to me. And now it's a show. And it's like exactly what I pitched them. But it's not like it's the most original idea. But I watched it last week and I'm like, and I'm pretty open-minded where I'm like, plenty of people could have thought of that. It's not that.
Yeah.
But I was watching it and I was like, oh, this is like even the same aesthetic I pitched them and everything. So it's weird with the like, so because of that kind of stuff, I've been wary of like doing watch-along-y stuff, but I don't know why. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Do watch-along-y stuff.
Yeah.
It does really fucking well on YouTube.
Yeah. I need to.
Because you need to be, like, you've been doing this for 7 years, you have this audience, like, you should be paying your rent with your Patreon right now.
That would be nice.
So we're going to fix that for you, like, by the end of the show.
Yes,
like,
that's fantastic.
We need to fix this for you. Like, essentially all you need is you need a rewards tier and you need video. I mean, I had my podcast for 4 years for observations, and I would have like Dave Foley from Kids in the Hall, Daniel Knopf, who created Carnival and Blacklist, and like I just couldn't get traction. I'm like, honestly, I mean, some of it had to do with I was on a network before where it was hard for people to find the show because they were digging through like 5 different shows on the network. There were other issues that were kind of in the way, and then I was pretty much only promoting on Twitter. When now I pretty much only use Twitter for, well, I do promote stuff on Twitter, but I use it primarily for promoting OnlyFans and porn stuff because the terms of service is so lax. Okay. So now, like, the Instagram terms of service changing actually made it so now that I just promote on Instagram, and like that alone, because there's just so much more people on Instagram. Yeah. Right? But adding the element of video I mean, it really just night and day, and the amount of people on YouTube and being able to have something on YouTube that just has a caption on it that is just encouraging people to go to the Patreon.
So it'll drive it there.
Yeah, but like,
That's a good idea.
you deserve to have it, and it absolutely should be paying your bills right now. And I think it's probably just a matter of, I know for me, when I switched over to video and all this stuff, for the longest time I just was like, it's going to be too much. It's going to be too much. And then I started doing the show, and I was like, it's actually easier.
Well, I think technology caught up a little bit even in the last year, where it's so much easier to do just anything on your phone that's good quality. Like you couldn't really before.
Yeah, on an iPhone 10, when I do, be like, what camera are you using? I'm like, I use my iPhone 10, but I mean, it's like I could shoot in 4K with this if I wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, no one needs a file that big on fucking YouTube unless they're doing like fucking weird gameplay or something. Yeah, it's like, for me, it's easier. And I don't even have this. I put a podcast version of it up, but I don't even have a directory on iTunes yet, because I'm still trying to decide if it's even worth it to have an actual.
Doing fine with the.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna do it anyway just to pull in more people. Right. And so for that, what I'll do is pull the audio, and then I would just add an intro. Right, where I would just say, okay, here's today's guest, like, which I don't do for this show. I'm just kind. Well, it's just kind of like, just get in, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, get in, loser.
We're gonna go get food. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I did a web series for TBS like 3 years ago, I think, and it was weird. Like it was like a sponsored content thing with New York Comedy Festival, and they wanted to show like a Boston comic doing New York Comedy Festival, and it was sponsored by Sam Adams, and I don't drink, I never have, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I don't drink, and they're like, that's fine, and I'm like, you sure now? But they did like a reality show, and they followed me around for a couple weeks. And I got so much traction out of that for like a sponsored content thing. Like they got like hundreds of thousands of views and stuff, and I just didn't.
You didn't have anywhere. You didn't have anywhere to send that traffic.
Yeah, exactly. So
now you do.
Now I do.
Yeah, because
fixed.
I mean, that's the thing is the biggest hack that I got really is that everything directs back to the Patreon.
Okay.
Everything. So when I put Important Adults up. And here's the thing a lot of people don't think to do. I put it on Pornhub. There's no...
That wouldn't work for me.
Because, like, well, even they support safe for work content.
Right.
And here's the thing is, you're monetized from day one.
Oh, I didn't even know it was
you don't
monetized.
have to... That's why I tell everyone, every comedian, I'm like, put your stand-up on Pornhub. Put it on there. It sounds crazy, but you're monetized from day one. So every single view, you are making fucking money.
And people need to cool
And there's
down.
more traffic there than anywhere else.
I bet.
So it's like, just put it there, because it's like, you have to think like a business person. If I was telling you there's a place you can put your content where they won't charge you to put it up, you get paid per view, and it has more traffic than any other website in the world. Why wouldn't you put your content there?
That's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, unless you're like super Christian.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So because here's the thing is, some people are like, I put on YouTube, it does like, an episode, if it's a popular person, like a popular porn performer, that my channel's only like a month old, so whatever. Maybe I'll get 2,000 views there.
That's on YouTube.
But then I'll get another 2,000 on Pornhub, so that's 4,000, and then I put it on IGTV, and I'll get like another 2,000 there. So that's, now I've gotten like 6,000 views.
Tripled it.
Just because of where, and every that same video, everything is like full videos on Patreon only. Only ever on Patreon. So it's like the traffic is always, everything is always going back to the thing that pays me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because my tiers were really, I need to redo them, but I had some joke tiers where it's like, for $1,000 I'll have the talk with your kids for you. But I had like one was like $250 a month, and you can text me whenever you want, and I'll tell you what to watch. And I actually had someone that did that, and I was kind of like, uh-oh. And it was like, I appreciated it. It was great, but at the same time, it was like, oh shit, I have to go tell this guy what to watch at like 10 o'clock on a Saturday.
How long did you keep that tier?
He kept it for like a year. And then
those people are angels. I've had
yes,
people like
absolutely.
that too.
And then I had stuff like, I'd give you a TV guide from your birth week for like $50. And then I got these cardboard phone viewers made, so they look like an old TV. And when you put your phone in it, it magnifies it so you can like watch an old TV, like watch things on it. And those were cool. I sold out all those. I had like 10 of those.
Right.
But everything else, I just don't get anyone. So I need.
Well, I mean, it's like, and I probably sound silly here, but like to me, the whole thing is, it's called TV guidance counselor.
It should be visual.
It should be visual.
Yeah, you would think so.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so I think, I bet you would go from what you're making now to like $1,500 or $2,000, probably in a month or two.
I'll give you a cut.
If you just
Add video. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yep.
I mean, there's no.
Sold. I honestly and this is just as someone that's been in the creative space for a while and has had a Patreon for a while, I've watched other friends that made money on YouTube, those that didn't, With what you do, if you're already getting 10,000 like downloads per episode, that audience, if they know they can now go over to YouTube and get the visual and like
even 10% of them, it would be decent.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I'm like what you make is like, you're not gonna have to worry about terms of service with YouTube.
Yeah.
Or like being demonetized, or do you know what I mean? It's like you're an advertiser's dream, because it's like it's nostalgia, it's TV. So people that watch TV and are into the nostalgia of TV are more likely to buy stuff anyway. So it's also they have like different algorithms on YouTube that kind of determine, like, depending on like what genre you're working in, you might get more, because it's like, it has to do with like clicks per minute kind of thing.
Right.
And it's like entrepreneurial stuff, like those people buy stuff. So people looking to learn about business building and entrepreneurship, they're more likely to spend and click on ads and
so
stuff like that. So
ad.
if you're a person that does entrepreneurship videos, even if you have smaller viewers, your CPM is going to be huge just because of who your audience
They're
is.
high value. It's like TV ratings. It's like
and since you're doing a show about TV and nostalgia, you're probably going to have a really high CPM.
It's interesting. Like a couple of years ago, Amazon Prime approached me about syndicating the show, and they were like, this is great. And they just want content, basically.
Yeah.
But they were like, this is great because, like, you know, you talk about an old show, you have a guest from an old show, and then we have those shows on Prime streaming, so, like, someone can, like, listen about it, and then they'll watch it, and they'll stick around for thing. And the deal ended up being great. But that stuck with me where I'm like, that is a good idea, because if we're talking about this show, and a lot of times people are like, oh, I forgot about that show, and then I went and watched it. If I can link them, that's beneficial to somebody who owns that content, basically.
Right.